We got married May the 14th, 1941. James, up at my brother's house in Mobile. He was over in Pensacola visiting. And anyway, he got to make the several trips over after that, and then we decided to get married, keep it a secret, and, just not tell anybody, but I want to say something, but I won't.
What?
My instructions were no sex until we started living together.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So we got a number of James's friends and we drove to Milton. And we got married. We just of a piece and got married. And
was it at a courthouse?
Yeah. So then we went back to Pensacola and dropped his friends off and so forth. And then we drove back to Mobile because, we weren't going to start living together. And I think James was afraid he was going to lose me if he didn't get married. But anyway, it's just as we drove up to my house, my daddy stepped out on the porch and turned the porch light on. It scared me. I was afraid I had done wrong. And I knew it would show all over my face. So we just decided to go ahead and stay together. So we drove back to Pensacola. We went to Pensacola. I never met his mother, his family. I knew his aunts and uncles and cousins in Mobile.
Yeah.
But anyway, and she was sitting in a rocking chair. This part I'll never forget. And she sat me on her lap.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
I'll never forget that. Anyway, I loved her from that moment on. But when he was drafted, he left June, I forgot all that, but anyway, in June of 1944, he went to Macon, Georgia, to Camp Wheeler. So I would take the train and go up and visit with him and come back. And one time I went up to visit with him. It was late. I couldn't get on the base and he couldn't get off the base. So we talked to the fence.
Oh.
Well, he came back after the war ended.
Okay.
And that was in 45. And he went to work in Mobile. And it was so, Larry wasn't born until 47. So he got back in 45. So, but then we did have Larry. And he decided on his own, without discussing it with me, to join the reserves, the Army Reserves, which he did. And then they offered him, wanted him to come back on active duty for a year just to see if he liked it. So I agreed. So we went back on active duty for a year in August of 47. And anyway, we both liked it very much.
Did you went with him to?
Up to Fort Jackson.
Okay.
In 47. Larry was a baby, about a year old.
So y'all all went up there?
The whole family. And we stayed there until he went to Germany the first time.
So how long was it until y'all...
Well, it was going to be almost a year before we could go over.
Oh, wow. So you wouldn't see him for a year?
53. The government allowed for families to come over if the sponsor, they called us the soldiers and officers sponsors of the family, could find a place, pay our way over. So anyway, James found a place. He said, make reservations and come. Before Christmas. And I flew up to New York, never flown before. And then we stayed overnight, and then the next day I got aboard ship and went to go to Germany. So we got there to La Havre, and James met us. And then we got in the car and we drove to Paris, through the French countryside. And then we visited around Paris. And then we took off for Schaffenburg, Germany, where we were going to live, and drove there. We got there just before Christmas. We had a big bedroom. I didn't have any refrigerator or anything to keep food or do anything. I didn't have anything. So anyway, James got me a box, and I put it out on their back porch. That was my refrigerator. And my window ledge was my refrigerator. I made Jell-O on the window ledge.
It was cold weather.
It was cold weather.
How cold was it?
Oh, it was cold.
Huh.
Yeah, and we had a wood burning.
Freezing at night.
We had a wood burning stove in the room, in the bedroom, and we never knew how to build a fire.
Really?
Never knew what?
How to build a fire,
Oh.
but we were experts before it was all over. We were experts. Even I was expert because I had to do that when James was gone.
Okay, so how long were y'all with that German family?
6 months.
6 months. Okay.
Every morning and picked them up, took them to school, and came back. No bus because we were only families out where we were, American families.
So they were on school basically.
Yeah, they had to, and then they came, brought them back in the afternoon. We didn't go back to Germany. That was the end of it. We were stationed in Kansas.
Talk about how it affected your family
It didn't
life.
affect us at all. Our family stayed together. When James got orders, we moved as a family, stayed together. Never were we separated. And that to me was very important.
I was going to ask next, talk about Granddad's rank in the Army.
Okay, he went in the Army as a private. And he retired in 1968 as a lieutenant colonel. Yeah, I joined the Red Cross volunteers. We were always a close family.
But did it change your perspective seeing
No.
the Germany and all the other side of the world?
Well, I'm sure it did, but our family remained the same. But now we had to leave Jim at home with Mother. He was in college. He went to Spring Hill College in Mobile. And anyway, but he came over for the summer.
Visited.
And we traveled the whole time he was there.
How did all that traveling and going overseas and coming back, how does that impact you now? How do you feel?
I appreciate it.
You appreciate it.
I appreciate the experience I had.
What is your advice for the next generation?
Be flexible.
Be flexible.
Don't be hard set in a certain way.
We were Bear Bryant.
Good.